Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News, South Florida Conservative News Center. It is Tuesday, May 12th, 3:52 p.m. And if you blinked, you missed it. The never before seen, I believe, tripartite news conference between the IDF, Mossad, and Shin Bet, where they outed the newly exposed and partially demolished IRGC Unit 4000. And we're going to talk about it now. So when you see it again, you'll know what we're discussing. So basically, it follows as we do know for years. The conflict between Israel and Iran has largely existed in the shadows. They don't do missiles or proxies or cyber attacks. It's covert networks, assassinations, surveillance teams, kidnap jobs, smuggling routes, infrastructure, spy versus spy, pretty much all the way to the bitter end. And now, for the first time, Israel has publicly exposed what it claims is one of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps' hidden overseas operational arms, a covert structure known as Unit 4000. They have a Unit 400, don't mix it up. Unit 4000 is what we're after. And we will examine what Unit 4000 allegedly is, how it was uncovered, what missions it appears to conduct, and whether the unit is still functional after the 2026 U.S.-Israeli campaign against Iran. So, in April 2026, the Mossad, Shin Bet, and the Israeli Defense Forces made an unusual joint announcement. And I believe if you see the photograph that will be the thumbnail, this is the hierarchy photograph that they used. It was in the Times of Israel, if one were to look it up. Or I think IDSF.com or IDSF, whatever they go under, they may have it as well. So normally, Mossad handles foreign covert operations, and Shin Bet handles domestic security, and the Israeli military keeps its distance from public intelligence disclosures. Mossad, quote unquote, would be like our CIA, Shin Bet is like our FBI, and the military is the military. Just in case you don't know who Shin Bet is. All right, they're internal security forces for the Israelis. But this time, all three of them appeared together, and the message was clear. Israel wanted the world to know that it believed it had penetrated and disrupted a significant Iranian overseas covert action network. The alleged name of that network, as we have been saying, is Unit 4000. According to Israeli officials, the organization was tied to the IRGC, you all know them, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and specifically to the covert foreign operations architecture. The Israelis released the names of suspected operatives, organizational charts, operational pathways, and claims that several senior handlers had already been killed during the February through April 2026 conflict with Iran, because as you could tell, they were already on Mossad's shit list, right? But perhaps the most important aspect of the story was where the network surfaced, and it was in Azerbaijan. Those of you who need a map, Azerbaijan has quietly become one of the most important intelligence battlegrounds in the Middle East. It borders Iran to the north. So now you know. It maintains close security relationships with Israel. And it sits astride critical energy corridors moving Caspian oil westwards into Europe and beyond. In early 2026, Azerbaijani authorities announced arrests connected to alleged Iranian-directed plots. According to Azerbaijani and Israeli reporting, the targets included the Israeli embassy in Baku, some synagogues, Jewish community figures, and possibly strategic energy infrastructure, which was a pipeline that supplies a good deal of Israel's oil. And that's what brought everybody on board. That last point, which is critical, because the reporting later suggested that operatives connected to Unit 4000 may have been involved in planning operations against the Baku Tbilisi Ceyhan, am I saying that one right? Pipeline, often referred to as the BTC pipeline. This pipeline carries enormous volumes of oil through Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey. disrupting it would not merely be terrorism, it would be economic warfare. And it would demonstrate that the Iran Israel shadow conflict had expanded into global energy infrastructure. Pretty heavy stuff. And then, of course, would have alienated those other three countries. But what was going on is this. So, what exactly is Unit 4000? And this is where everything gets gray, which is why it was funny that Shin Bet and Mossad brought this up. Unlike Hezbollah or the Quds Force, Unit 4000 does not appear to have conventional military formation. No public parades, no official insignia, no recruiting posters. Instead, Unit 4000 appears to function more like a compartmentalized covert action apparatus. It is nested within or alongside the IRGC intelligence organization. So, does that make it an organic splinter group? I'm not sure. And coordinated with Iran's broader external warfare strategy. So, in simple terms, or in fifth generation warfare terms, I guess we could say, this is gray zone warfare. Operations below the threshold of declared war. We are plotting assassinations. We are recruiting foreign assets, running surveillance in other countries. We are smuggling drones into third party countries unaffiliated, infrastructure targeting in third party countries unaffiliated, proxy coordination, same, same. These are not armies moving across the border. Okay. Invisible networks moving through commercial systems, criminal pipelines, and foreign secretaries. One of the defining characteristics of Iranian covert activity over the past several decades has been deniability. You know, in the old days, all the terrorists wanted to claim that they did it. And then I guess I'll put that one down to who are we going to put that one down to? We'll put it down to somebody that it turned around that let other people take credit for it. We'll just do our deals. Okay. So Iran understands that it cannot conventionally overpower the United States or Israel in a straight military contest. So instead, Tehran has developed an asymmetrical doctrine. It's proxy warfare, political warfare, marine disruption, as we know, cyber disruptions, and covert international action. The Quds Force became the public face of that strategy, coordinating Hezbollah, the Iraqi military militias, Syrian auxiliaries, and the Houthi. But Unit 4000 appears to represent something even more decentralized and difficult to trace. According to reporting, the network relied heavily on, as we will find out more in the future, but as of now, smugglers, dual citizens, commercial operators, organized crime, transnational organized crime, everybody's favorite friend, and compartmented cells. This is important because such a structure is inherently resilient. If one cell is compromised, others can continue to operate. They probably have little to no interaction between each other. Everybody probably reporting directly up to someone, not in a chain. If one smuggling route collapses, another one can emerge. It's basically how it works. And that is the logic behind modern covert warfare networks. One of the most interesting details in this Israeli disclosure was what wasn't shown. Um, Once again, no public unit insignia, no official patch, no big sword with a fist through it, and all this other nonsense. And the absence may tell you a great deal because they love having insignias and flags. Traditional military organizations use symbols to build identity and cohesion. Covert organizations avoid them, especially organizations that are engaged in assassination, sabotage, and foreign recruitment. If Unit 4000 exists in the form described by Israel, it likely operates less like a military regiment and more like a hidden operational architecture. As a system, it is not a battalion. So, how damaged is Unit 4000 now? And that is the key question because Israeli officials claim the network was penetrated. They gave a bunch of names. I couldn't get anything straightened out on that. So, my fault. But if you really dig, you could get the names and they'll mean nothing to you as they mean nothing to most people, except for the ones that they've already killed. The network has been penetrated. Operational cells were disrupted. They they captured a bunch of C4 and some drones and some incriminating paperwork. Azerbaijani arrests dismantled most of the infrastructure for that particular cell. And then, of course, as I said, the wartime strikes killed certain important handlers. So, if true, that would represent a major counterintelligence victory, big victory. But covert organizations rarely disappear entirely. There was a very good chance that they weren't all sitting there eating ramen noodles and thinking about what they're going to do next. So, there was a certain amount of them that are still in the wind. Financing, we're not sure on either. So once again, they're not poverty stricken. They could be in Paris already. The IRGC has spent decades building overlapping networks, proxy organizations, criminal facilitators, covert logistics pipelines. In many ways, the very decentralization that makes such organizations dangerous also makes them difficult to eliminate permanently. And there is another important factor here. Intelligence disclosures are never purely informational. They are strategic acts. Israel doing this announcement likely served several purposes simultaneously. And goes in with an article that we did just the other day. It is a warning. They are warning their allies. They are deterring their adversaries and reassuring the Israeli public that they are on the job, and also signaling Tehran that its covert reach has been penetrated and that they still rule the night. All right. It's not merely an intelligence battle, it is psychological warfare with these guys. The exposure of Unit 4000 may ultimately mark a turning point in the Iran-Israel conflict, because I think that personally, and I'm sure the Israelis did as well, if they had blown up a pipeline that supplies Israel with over a third of their oil in the middle of a war, things would go south rather quickly for the Israelis. So there's no other way for them to get that. There's no way for them to make that up. Okay. And as you said, and we've been saying in our papers that we send out and everything else, battlefields are pretty much dead. Okay. We are in, at least as they say, fifth generation warfare. Everything has to be considered when someone's going to pull the trigger. And it makes it very hard for the civilized people to do things, because the uncivilized people don't give a shit about wrecking the environment or killing 1,000 babies or whatever they're doing, because they need to stay in power. Okay. The central question moving forward is not whether this Unit 4000 existed. The question is going to be whether Iran's covert warfare architecture has merely been exposed, or did the Israelis fundamentally compromise it? So if you've enjoyed this analysis or any of the other things we've done, please like, subscribe. We are on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, Substack, and www.southfloridaconservative.com. And that's about all for now. Have a good day, and talk to you later on. Goodbye.